welcome back. I'm Rhina Valentin, your host Café con Leche for the next hour. Always encouraging you to get social with us online, that is. Tweet us and follow us on Instagram at BronxNet TV or like us on Facebook at Open BronxNet Television. And of course, while you're there, you can follow moi on Twitter, FB, Instagram, Insta Stories, and LinkedIn at Rhina Valentin. Our first guest is an anthropologist, educator, and a storyteller. Many of her books focuses on the Afro-Caribbean and Latinx culture, and today she joins us to discuss her latest book, Vicki and a Summer of Change, which recounts the story of what happened in East Harlem, New York in 1969, when members of the Young Lords organization united with residents to make positive changes in the neighborhood. The story highlights sisterhood, resilience, and most importantly, community. Joining us to tell us more, please welcome Dr. Raquel M. Ortiz. Hi, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, congratulations on this new book. I mean, it's been out for a while, but just your trajectory of books and the stories and the people you partner with, they're really, really magical, every single one of them. So let's first talk about Vicki and the Summer of Change first.
Sure. Well, I think the story is really two stories. The first one is what you mentioned, sisters. And there's a little sister who wants to be everything and everywhere her other sister's at. And her big sister happens to be an activist. So that's cool and fun. But the other real story is the 1969 garbage offensive. So I was talking with people about how we share this story, especially something literally so dirty and so grimy with our kids, but understanding that it's about us taking over our community and making change happen. So it's an interesting way to take a piece of history and make it accessible to, 5, 6-year-old, and maybe the parents or the grandparents or the teachers who are telling that stories to our children.
Right, and quite frankly speaking, we're still living in it somewhat.
Yes.
Yeah, so there was something really refreshing in sharing the story with my daughter, because there's a sense of taking responsibility for your environment, not just your immediate environment within your home, but your outside environment is also part of your home. So I really loved that, and I loved, of course, the activism that was included in it. The artistry, the illustration was really, really well done. And one of the other things I also wanted to bring up is that I noticed you partner either with co-writers, which you co-wrote this one with Iris Morales, right? Who is a Young Lord.
A founder of the Young Lords. So I was real lucky. I went to her with this idea and she loved it so much. She helped me develop it. And obviously she was there, so her input was invaluable. And then luckily she works with Edgardo Miranda Rodriguez, who's the father of La Borinqueña. So his people from Somos Artes, 2 beautiful young Puerto Rican women made our art. So it's a story about collaboration, and it's made in the form of collaboration through Red Sugarcane Press. And I think the only way to celebrate collaboration is by continuing to collaborate. So that in and of itself is a big success story, I think.
Yeah, well, it seems to be your practice, because I noticed in your other books, and I did want to know before we move on to Sophie, why is she named Vicki and not Sophie?
Right. Well, first of all, like I've shared with you, I have 2 children, so my son is kind of over the Sophie moment. But we're trying to lower, our Sophiness. But also with Vicki, it means Victoria. And Val, the big sister, is Valentina. And you and I both know words mean things. So and my daughter, Sophie, is wisdom. So as we name our children these powerful things, we give them, every time I call my daughter, I know I'm saying wisdom. So every time we talk about Vicki, it's victory. And I think we need to put those words in our children's mouth as much as possible.
Yeah, and as well as educate them about our history of our stories coming from our experiences, which is the beauty of this particular story. I mean, the other ones are very magical and very, oh gosh, they're so lovely and very cultural, right? Okay, so Vicki is more urban culture, whereas Sophie allows us to travel into the Caribbean through her adventures. Let's talk a little bit about Sophie.
Sure. So the first one, really, I was working on my dissertation. I was studying at Pueblo Cantor, painted by Maria Dominguez, who you probably know, and all the wonderful work she does in New York City. And I just imagined, like, what would happen if we got pulled into this mural? And then I lived in Puerto Rico, and it's beautiful, but thank you. So there's un tapón del caramba, no? So, once she got there, how would she move around? And this image that she wasn't sure about and she was scared, the Vejigante, she turns into it. And I think metaphorically, like, that's what happens when we're scared of something, we push it back, we don't understand it. But the minute we try to understand, it becomes a little part of us. So it was fun to make her into the Vejigante, give her those wings, give her that Afro-Boricua identity, and literally have her fly with it. So that's, the first story was just saying out loud that we don't know our culture here and on the island. And that's okay, as long as we do something about it. It's not okay when we don't know and we stop at, well, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, right. Exactly. And that's, I think, what I enjoyed the most, even sharing these stories with my daughter, because I mean, my daughter's 11. So my story with her is, it's very important for her to make sure that anything that comes our way that is written by us and is about us, meaning our Caribbean culture, our Afro-Boricua culture, she needs to know, right? She needs to learn from it and learn from this. So then this one, which is Sophie Paints Her Dreams, I gotta tell you, is my all-time favorite.
Well, you're gonna have to sing the song for me. So I was going to school. So I was in Brooklyn, and I was in District 14. So I was in Williamsburg, but it was like Williamsburg, Bushwick. And I was getting to visit a lot of schools. Our superintendent picked up my book, and I got invited to like 10 of our 26 schools. And there were so many Dominican children that looked me in the eye and asked me, where was their Sophie? And you and I know it hurts when you're nowhere. So I told them, that's coming. And then when I started to write it, it was actually when they had taken away the citizenship of the Haitians that had been in the Dominican Republic for 3 generations. I'm sure you remember when that happened. So there was a lot of pain and a lot of sorrow, and some people were great about speaking out and a lot of people were not. So I thought this story was a good way to talk about us crossing that river, us all being brothers and sisters or cousins, but related, and to actually say Puerto Riqueños son caribeños, we are Caribbean, which we don't say that either, so
Right.
like we need to connect, because when we're connected, we're stronger. And then also with the Haitian metal art, not to, spoil alert with the book, but yeah, I know.
Well, this is
But it
what I'm
looks
saying. It's like a history lesson as well, though, and
right,
it's wonderful that you're giving these places a face and a name and recognition
right.
for the next generation, so they can carry it.
Right, right. And I think too, it's that, unfortunately, they take away from us a lot of things that are ours and we should celebrate and we should talk about. So it's kind of the gift back, and it's not so abstract. Like one of my best friends is Haitian, I mean, I have tons of Dominican friends. Like I know what good people they are and what beautiful things they have in their culture, but I've been lucky enough to study it. So this is, my hope that children read this, and parents and adults, and get curious and then continue to learn and look, because it's only like 800 words when we could write 8 million, and so it's just
Right.
a taste.
And so we don't have time to talk about when Julia danced bomba, pero I'm just giving everybody a little taste of all the different styles that you've created, and the mindfulness that's been put into the storytelling that you've chosen to share. And it's all, of course, as I mentioned, it's got the magic realism, it's got the education, it has the beautiful artistry, as I mentioned at the top of the interview. She works with different illustrators, so it's a different experience visually as well. And then the most recent one is Vicki and the Summer of Change, which is the one we opened up with, which I think is the one that we're encouraging people to really become familiar with, especially during this time, because it talks about, the garbage situation. And right now we still have a garbage situation in New York. And now that New York is reopening, it's really a matter of everyone taking responsibility for your environment.
Definitely, definitely. And we have a coloring book too with Vicki and a Summer of Change.
Oh,
So
you do?
yeah, I'm sorry I didn't get you one yet. But I went to some schools in Chicago and I shared it. And the great thing was like the kids became a part of it because they were actually coloring the art that we made for it. So we're trying to be as, you know, as inclusive as possible because it's our story and we own it. And then we can add a piece and we can make it a bigger, better story. So that's the hope. Fingers crossed.
No, well, yeah, I think you're doing a fabulous job, and I'm so happy that we were able to bring it here to our viewers. And I love the fact that you make it interactive and inclusive. That's Dr. Raquel M. Ortiz, and you guys, for more on Vicki and A Summer of Change, that's available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and you can learn more about the author, Dr. Raquel M. Ortiz, by visiting her website at Dr. Raquel M. Ortiz. And we do have to take a quick break, but when we return, we're going to hear about a new exhibition celebrating the works of Enfocos Photography Fellowship winners. Don't go anywhere.